So welcome to the class, and we just pick up from where we had stopped in the last class. And that should be this paper of May 2017, question 5B. May 2017, question 5B. Reka Limited has two manufacturing divisions, namely A and B. Division A manufactures a single product branded RR. 2/3 of the output of RR is sold externally, while the balance is transferred to Division B, where it is used as a raw material in the manufacture of the product branded TT. The unit cost of product RR are as follows. So we are given direct materials, direct labor, direct expenses, variable overheads, fixed overheads, and selling and packaging expense. Annually, 10,000 units of product RR are sold externally at the standard price of shillings 90 per unit, while 5,000 units are transferred to divisions B at an internal transfer charge of shillings 87 per unit. The selling and packaging expense is not incurred for internal transfers. The unit cost of productivity are as follows. So we are given the transferred in, the added direct materials, direct labor, variable overheads, the fixed overheads, the selling and packaging. A recent study of the demand and sales relationship of the company's products by the sales division produced the following results. So we have the division A, the selling price, the demand. Division B, selling prices and demand. Then the management of division B has proposed that transfers from division A should be made at shillings 36 per unit, which represents the variable cost plus a minimum markup required. Advise the management of Reka Limited on the following. 1, the current effect of the transfer pricing system on the company's profits. Number 2, the effect on profit of adopting the above proposal from the manager of Division B. So that question is on transfer pricing. That question is on transfer pricing. And as I've always told you, when you come across transfer pricing, the first thing is to identify who is the company, who is the supplier, and who is the receiver. Who is the receiver? You must be able to know who is the company, and then who is the receiver. So in our question here, the company is called Reka Limited. This is Reka Limited. Reka Limited, that is the company, the name of the company. Then it has two divisions, A and B. Division A is the one that manufactures product ARR, and then it transfers to B. So this is division A. This is division A. It's the one that is the supplier. And then we have division B, who is the receiver. So goods are being transferred there. Goods are being transferred there. When you are told to tell us the effect, when you see the word effect, it must be the result of comparing two values. When you are told to talk about the effects, now this is the result of comparing two values. And which are these two values? The values are optimal minus the current. So we need to know what is the optimal transfer price and what is the current price. Obviously the profits now that result, so that we see what is the effect. So for you to do that, you must come here and say optimal transfer price. Optimal transfer price should be equal to marginal costs of the supply. That is the optimal transfer price. So if that is the case, the marginal costs of this item, which is product RR, as you can see, we have the direct materials of 12 shillings. We have the direct labor of 6 shillings. We have the direct expenses of 6 shillings. And then we have the variable manufacturing of 6 shillings. The selling will not be included. We will not include selling because according to information 2, the selling is not charged. And even if we were not told that one, we should know. So when you add this, this gives you that shillings. The other thing is you need to get marginal costs. Let me call it own marginal costs. Own marginal costs of the receiver. Own marginal cost of the receiver. Own marginal cost of the receiver. It will be, first of all, the receiver will recognize, or before we talk of that, if you look at information 3, you will recognize the added materials, which are 69 plus 9. We may even have put it the other way around here. 69 plus 9 plus 36 plus 3 plus 3. So if you add those ones, the same 69 plus 9 plus 36 plus 3 is 117. 117. So the effect that we are supposed to deal with is in regard to division B. So we will do an income statement here for division B. So income statements for division B. And this is when transfer price is equal to that shillings. Transfer price is equal to that shillings. So there are several things that we require to bring, or a few things that we require to bring on board. We will have the selling price, then we less transfer in costs, then we less own variable costs, that will give us contribution margin. Then we bring total units, and then we will have total contribution. We will have total contribution. So if you look at the table, you look at the information that has been provided, the first selling price is 240. The first selling price is 240. The transferring costs will be 30 bob. And its own variable cost is 117. So if you take the calculator, say 240 plus 30 plus, 240 minus 30 minus 117, I am getting a contribution margin of 93. Getting a contribution margin of 93. And the units are 7,200. So if you multiply by 7,200, you record 669,600. That is what you record as the contribution. That is what you record as the contribution. Then you go to the next price, which is 270. So 270, the transfer remains 30. This one remains 117. It remains 117. So you will say 270 minus 30 minus 117. I have 123. And the units are 5,000. So multiplied by 5,000. That will be 615,000. That will be 615,000. You proceed to this other one of 300. You proceed to this other one of 300. The transfer is 30. This is 117. And then that will be 270 minus 117 is 153. And the units are 2800. So 153 times 2800 is 428, 400. 428, 400. So that means optimal production so the advice down there is that optimal production is, you now go for the one with the highest profit, this one, 669. It is 7,200 units. So that they make a contribution of this. So that's the first thing. Remember we said it's a comparison of two values. So that is the first value. I now need to have another income statement. Income statement for division B. And this is when transfer price is, we go by the current transfer price. Currently, according to the information number one, the current transfer price is 87. The current transfer price is 87. Is 87. So once again, I will need to bring the selling price here. Then I less transferring costs. Transferring costs on variable costs, that will give me something called contribution margin. Then I bring something called total units, so that I record something called total contribution. That is what I will need. So the selling prices are 240, 270, and 300. Transferring costs is the transfer price, which is now 87. It is 87. And the own cost, that remains 117, 117, 117. So we get the margins, 240 minus 87 minus 117 is 36, and the units are 7,200. So multiplied by 7,200, it is 259, 200. Then 270 minus 87 minus 117 is 66. And we have 5,000. That gives us 330,000. Then 300 minus 87 minus 117 is 96, and the units are 2,800. So times 28, it is 268, 800. And therefore, the advice is that optimal production is 5,000 units. So when you go to division B, they will prefer to have 5,000 units because they have a higher or the highest contribution. So I want to combine it together with the other one. So let us do income statements. For division B. And here, transfer price is at 6. They are now proposing, according to information 5, they are now proposing to have that is 6. So we have selling price less transfer in costs. Then own variable costs. That will give us contribution margin. Then we have total units. Then I have total contribution. So the selling price is 240. Transfer is at 6. This is 117. So say 240 minus 36 minus 117 is 87. And the units are 7200. So times 7200, I get 626,400. Then we come to this other one. It is 270. The transfer now is 36. All is 117. So 270 minus 36 minus 117. Oh, I'm getting 117. The units are 5,000. So times 5,000. It is 585,000. Then hapa ni 336, 117. So 300 minus 36 minus 117 is 147. The units are 2800. And this is 411,600. 411,600. So sasa hiyo inamaanisha the advice we shall render to these guys is that optimal production is 7,200 units. 7,200 units. So with that now, so our working or our solution or the summary, we will have transfer price here. Transfer price. Transfer price. The question was asking us, we get to know the effects on companies' profits. Effects on companies' profits. So the first one is the shillings 87. Shillings 87. It creates decrease. A decrease of so you take this one, which is the best, 669,600 minus the best that we got here at 500, 330. So the same case here, shillings 36 is a decrease of, you take this one, 669, 600, minus the best year. The best year is 626, 400. So we are saying 669, 600 minus 330,000 is 339, 600. 669, 600 minus 626, 400 is 43, 200. So that is how you deal with that kind of questions on transfer price. So the next question is November 2016, question 1B. And that question is on variances. That question is on variances. So looking at it, we are told the following information relates to night shift operations at Work Limited, a manufacturing company. The night shift workers normally consist of 30 skilled men, 15 skilled men, semi-skilled, and 10 unskilled men, who are paid at standard hourly rates of 80, 60, and 40 shillings respectively. A normal working week consists of 40 hours. The weekly output of night shift workers is expected to be 2,000 units. In the second week of the month of October 2016, the night shift workers consisted of 40 skilled men, 10 semi-skilled men, and 5 unskilled men, who are paid at shillings 70, shillings 65, and shillings 30 respectively. During that week, 4 hours were lost due to abnormal idle time, and 1,600 units were produced. Required for the second week, compute labor cost variance, labor rate variance, labor efficiency variance, labor mix variance and idle time variance. So we require to do that, and maybe for the case of making our work easier, we could first of all tabulate that data. We could tabulate that data. We could tabulate that data. Whereby I will have a column called details. I will require to have workers, a column called workers. I will require to have a column called rates. I will require to have a column called hours. And then I will require to have a column called labor costs. This will be for the budget data. The budget data, let me budget for budget data for 2,000 units. For 2,000 units. Then, the same case here, I have workers. I will have rates. I will have hours. And I will have labor costs. We'll have labor costs. So this is actual data. Actual data for how many units were actually produced according to information for 1,600 units, 1,600 units. If I call this A, and this one I call it B, this one I call it C, first of all, is C. The hours. Each worker, we are told, takes 40 hours. So it will be 40A, and we can call it C. So that my labor cost will be B times C. B times C. Then this one I can call it D. This one I call it E. Then this one will be 40D, which I call F. So that this will be E times F. E times F. So without design, we have two types or three types of workers. The first one, they are called skilled. Skilled. And these skilled, there are 30 of them. There are 30. We have another group called semi-skilled. Semi-skilled. And these semi-skilled, there are 15 men. Then we have another group called unskilled. Unskilled is 10. Then we are told these guys are paid at the rate of 80, 60, and 40. So if you want to get the hours, you will say 30 times 40, that is 1,200, multiplied by 80, that gives us 96,000. Then 15 times 40 is 600 hours. Multiplied by 60 is 36,000. 10 times 40 is 400 hours. Multiplied by 40 is 16,000. So you require the total hours. So total hours tasema ni 1,200 plus 600 plus 400, that gives you 2,200 hours. 96 plus 36 plus 16 is 148,000. 148,000. When we go to the actual, according to information now 4, we are told we had 40 skilled workers. We had 10 semi-skilled and 5 unskilled. And the rate is 70, 65, and 30. So if you say 40 times 40, that is 1,600. This is 400, and this is 200. So 1,600 times 70 is 112,000. Then huyu mwingine atakuwa 65 times 400. It is 26,000. And this will be 6,000. So 112 plus 26 plus 6 is 144,000. 144,000. So with that now, let us start. Labor cost variance. Labor cost variance. Labor cost variance. Labor cost variance, as you know, it is standard labor costs minus actual labor costs. Standard labor costs minus actual labor costs. So the standard, you will get it like this. You come here and say, in our budget, we thought we could spend 148,000. And this one was for making 2,000 units. Remember, I keep on telling you, when you see the word standard, it should be per unit. It should be per unit. So, first of all, you express it per unit. So when you divide by 2,000, then you multiply by the actual units that were produced, 1,600. You minus the actual labor cost of 144,000. 144,000. So that will give you 148,000 divided by 2,000 equals times 1,600 minus 144,000. I am getting a figure of 25,600, which is adverse. 25,600, which is adverse. It is adverse not because it is negative, but because the actual is higher than the standard. Huyo mwingine ni labor rate variance. So labor rate variance, labor rate variance. Now, labor rate variance, taipanga namna hii. We have the grade here, and the formula is standard rate minus actual rate. Standard rate minus actual rate. You multiply by actual hours, and that will give you the variance. You multiply by actual rates, and that will give you the variance. That will give you the variance. So let us start with the skills. For the skills, the standard rate is 80. The actual rate is 70. And the actual hours are 1,600. 1,600. So that gives us 16,000, which is favorable. 16,000, which is favorable. It is favorable because the rate was smaller. We paid a lower rate. We paid a lower rate. Then you come to semi-skilled. Semi-skilled. For the semi-skilled, it is the standard rate is 60. The actual rate is 65. You multiply by the actual hours, which are 400. which are 400. So if you say 60 minus 65 times 400, that gives us 2,000, which is adverse. It is adverse because we paid a higher rate. It is adverse because we paid a higher rate. Then unskilled. Unskilled is standard rate of 40. The actual of 30. The actual hours were 200. So this again will be 2,000, which is favorable. Which is favorable because we paid a smaller. So the total of that, if you add this, the 16,000 favorable plus the 2,000 adverse plus the 2,000 favorable, you should end up with 16,000 favorable. You should end up with 16,000 favorable. Huyo mwingine tunaitishwa anaitwa labor efficiency variance. Labor efficiency variance. So labor efficiency variance, we have again the grade here. We have the grade and the formula is standard hours minus actual hours, you multiply by the standard rate. That gives you the variance that you are looking for. That gives you the variance that you are looking for. The standard hours minus actual hours, you multiply by the standard rates. So we start with the skills. We start with the skills. Now going to the skills, according to our budget, 2,000 units were supposed to use 1,200 hours. So you are supposed to take 1,200, you divide by 2,000. You divide by 2,000. That will tell you each unit should have used how many hours. Then you multiply by the actual unit, 1,600. 1,600. You minus the actual hours that were used. The actual hours hapa ni 1,600. And this one, you multiply by the standard rate of 8 shillings. So if you do that, you will be able to tell me it is 1,200 divided by 2,000 equals times 1,600 minus 1,600 multiplied by 8. You report 51,200, which is advance. You report 51,200 being advance. Haya, ukibia nao kwa semi-skilled. So semi-skilled, you also argue the same way. That in our budget, we were supposed to use 600 hours. So you take the 600, you divide by 2,000. Then you multiply by 1,600 so that you know what should have been used. You minus what was actually used, this one, 400. And then you multiply by the standard rate of 64. You multiply. So getting to your calc, the same as 600 divided by 2,000 equals. Multiply by 1,600 minus 400 equals. Multiply by 60. You record 4,800 favorable. 4,800, which is favorable. Then from there, you proceed and bring the unskilled. So for the unskilled, we have 400. You divide by 2,000. Multiply by 1,600. Minus the actual of 200. You multiply by the standard rate of 40. The standard rate of 40. Multiply by the standard rate of 40. So if you take 400, you divide by 2,000, multiply by 1,600, minus 200, times 40. It is also 4,800, which is favorable. 4,800, which is favorable. So that means if you combine these three, if you take 51,200 advance, plus 4,800 favorable, plus 4,800 favorable, you should be able to report 41,600. 41,600 advance. So the next one is called labor mix variance. Labor mix variance. So for the labor mix variance, again we have the grade. We have the grade here. And the formula is revised mix minus actual mix. You multiply by the standard rate. That will give you the variance that you seek to get. It will give you the variance that you are looking for. So let us start with the skills. We start with the skills. Then later on, we will come to semi-skilled. And finally, we will have the unskilled, so that we will have the total. We will have the total. So when you hear of the mix, we are looking at the proportions. When you hear of the mix, we are looking at the proportions. So proportion is argued like this, that skilled was supposed to bring 1,200 in a total of 2,200. So that is the proportion of that. So you multiply that with the total here. The total here, this is 2,000, 2,200. That is the total that you should have recorded there. So you multiply by 2,200. You multiply by 2,200. When you multiply, that gives you the revised mix. You now minus the actual there, which is 1,600. Multiply by the standard rates, which is 80. And that one gives you, obviously this cancels, so it is 400 times 80, that 2,000 adverse. That 2,000, which is adverse. You come and argue the same way for this other one. That we were supposed to have 600 in a total of 22. Multiplied by 2,200, that's total. minus these 400, the actual, multiplied by the standard rate of 60. So this obviously will be 200 hours times 60. That gives us 12,000, which is favorable. 12,000, which is favorable. And then here I have 400. You divide by 2200, multiply by 2200, minus the actual there of 200, at the standard rate of 40. So again, this is 200 times 40, that is 8,000. And this is also favorable. So when you combine them, you report 12,000, which is adverse. When you combine them, you report 12,000, which is adverse. Then the next one, in idle time variance. So idle time variance. So idle time variance. We have the grade here. And then we will get the idle time, obviously in hours, times the hourly rate. Let me put it, the standard rate. The standard rate, and that is the one that will give us the variance. That is the one that will give us the variance. So if we start with the skilled guys, we start with the skilled. We are told that each worker was idle for 4 hours. So what you do, utasema 4 times the number of workers that we had, 40, multiplied by the standard rate of 80. When you come to semi-skilled, it is 4 times the number of workers who are 10 times the standard rate of 60. And then unskilled it is 4 times the workers were 5 times the standard rate of 40. Then we shall have the total here. So 4 times 40 times 8 is 12,800. Obviously, this one must be advanced. It must be advanced. 4 times 10 times 60 is 2,400. That is also advanced. 4 times 5 times 40. That is 800, which is also advanced. And if you add, this goes to 16,000 advanced. That goes to 16,000, which is advanced. Now read part question 2A. Question 2A, read through that. So question 2A, hope you have read. And that question is on inventory controls. It's on what we call inventory controls and known shortage costs. Known shortage costs. And known shortage costs. So for you to deal with that, I told you you prepare a table. And this table, we will first of all have the annual demand. We will have the annual demand. And these annual demands, we have 300 to 900, 300, 400, 500, 600. $399, $499, $599, $699. So the next thing you need is the midpoints. You need to create midpoints. And midpoints, I told you, you add these two values, 300 plus 399 equals, divide by 2. You record 349.5. So the same case here, 449.5, 549.5, 649.5, 749.5, 849.5, 949.5. That is the midpoint, or those are the values of the midpoints. The midpoints. Then you come and get the probability. And what you shall do to get the probabilities, you add those values, the same as 0 plus 16 plus 20 plus 25 plus 14 plus 8 plus 3 equals 86. So you shall take 86, or rather 0 you divide by 86, and the answer is 0.00. You can use 2 decimals. Huyo mwingine atakuwa 16. You divide by 86. So 16 divided by 86. If we go rounding, this will be 0.19. And the same case here, it will be 20. You divide by 86. That is 0.23. Then 25. You divide by 86. You record 0.29. 14, you divide by 86, you record 0.16. 8, you divide by 86, you get 0.09. And then this other one, 3, you divide by 86. But now, because of the error that we have been committing as we round up or down, it is advisable you first of all cumulate, so that this one will be what remains for the total to be 1. So you get now what we call cumulative probability. Cumulative probability. Cumulative probability. So cumulative probability, utasema hii ni 0.00, this is 0.19, then useme 19 plus 23 is 0.42, plus 29 is 0.71, plus 16 is 0.87, plus 9 is 0.96. So this is 0.04, so that now we record namna hiyo. So we are looking for 85%. So 85 must be between here. 85 should be somewhere here. That is what you are looking for. And I told you there are 2 methods that you can use. The first one is called linear interpolation method. So using linear interpolation method, I told you, you quickly draw a diagram like this one. There's like a small one, not to scale, but smart. This is x-axis. This is y-axis. Then you mark the lower point here and the upper point here. The same thing you do here, the lower and the upper. So the lower here is at 87. This is 749. 749.5. And this is 849.5. Then this is 0.87. And this is 0.96. You can also mark another one here, 0.85, because that is what you are looking for, this 0.85. So what you do, these are 85 here, you mark and you call it point A. This one at 96. You mark here and you call it B. These two, you connect them. So that is 87 that way, 96 that way. Then sasa hapa unachora another line inakimbia namna hiyo. Another one inateremka hivi, you call this point C. That one we say is called a triangle. Then sasa hapa unatuambia if we were to extrapolate hivyo tukuje tuoge hapa which we call D, then hii teremke hivi to stop here, you call it E, and this one you call it X, that one you call it X. Now you will say, using similarities concepts, if I get BC, I divide by BE, it should be equal to AC divided by AE. That is 0.96 minus 0.87. If you divide by 0.85, no, it's something I've done wrong. It's 96. Sorry. This is wrong. This 85 is supposed to be here. It's supposed to be here. So this is the one. So make those adjustments. So this is 7.1. And this is 8.7. 7.1 and 8.7. So 7.1 is 649. 649. And this is 749. 749. Sorry, I'm trying to be tight to see whether I can answer part B. It's okay. Sasa, I was supposed to say 0.87 minus 0.71. If you divide by 0.85 minus 0.71, it should give you 749.5 minus 649.5, which you divide by x minus 649.5. Now, on solving, which you know very well, on solving, which you know very well, you should get around 88 units. You should get around sorry, not 88. Should be 738 when you add to the 615. It should be something to do with 738. And this is now the new reorder point. the new reorder point. That's the new reorder point. So when they ask you to compute safety stock, you should get it as reorder points minus demand during read time. Demand during read time. So this will be 738 minus, according to the question, we are told that the average demand is 130 units and the read time is 5 days. So when you do that, the safety stock that you should get is supposed to be 88 units. Supposed to be 88 units. You can see I have 14 minutes. Those 14 minutes, we can try to see whether we could finish part B of the question. Part B of that question. So part B says that Innovators Limited has designed a new model of manufacturing machine. The cost of sales price of the first machine to be produced has been as follows. So we have materials, labor, overheads, total profit, selling price. The company plans to sell all the machines at full cost plus 25%. A 90% running curve is expected to apply to the production work. Only one customer has expressed interest in buying the machine so far, but he views that amount too high a price to pay. He could buy one more of the machines in the coming period. Now required, if the customer above paid 87,500 for the first machine, determine the price he would have to pay later for a second machine, and if he places the third and the fourth as a single order. So that question is on running curves and cost plus methods. Is on running curves and cost plus pricing method. So we will begin by saying using total approach in running curves, the formula is y is equals to ax b plus 1. Now b, we know, is given as the log of r. You divide by the log of 2. So this one will be the log of, the question has a running curve of 90%. 0.9, you divide by the log of 2. So if you take your calc and say log of 0.9 divided by log of 2, it is minus 0.152. Then b plus 1 will be minus 0.152 plus 1. And this will be 0.848. 0.848. Then A, the time taken to make the first machine, we are told it is 2,000 hours. 2,000 hours. I want first of all to deal with the types. A second machine. So we come to second machine. Second machine. Second machine. X will just be 1 because it's just one machine. Then Y will be Y for the first 2 minus Y for the first 1. So this will be 2,000 times 2 raised to power 0.848 minus 2,000 multiplied by 1 raised to power 0.848. And if you take your calc, it will help you to see 2 raised to power 0.848 multiplied by 2,000 will be 3,600. Obviously, this is 2,000. So that means we have 1,600 hours. 1,600 hours. That is the time. Then, for the third and fourth, so third and fourth machines. So in this case, X will be 2. X will be 2 because there are 2, the third and the fourth. So the Y will be Y for the first 4 minus Y for the first, and I to add in the first 2. The first 2. So this one becomes 2,000 times 4 raised to power 0.848 minus 2,000 times 2 raised to power 0.848. So running back to the calc, I'm able to find multiply by 2,000, I'm able to get 6480 minus this one I had already computed, that 600. So if I subtract that 600, it is 2880 hours. Now for each of the machines, Y should be 2880. You divide by 2, and this is 1440 hours. So sasa tulikuwa tunaulizwa, we get the quotation. So quotation. So we have details here. Quotation per machine. So we have the second one here. And here we will have each of the third and fourth, each. Each of the third and fourth. So according to the question, we have materials. Materials is 25 million. Is 25 million. The same case here. Then we have labor. And labor, according to this one, will be 15,000 times the hours. It will be 15,000 times the hours. So nikikuja hapa utasema 1600 times 15,000. That gives me 24 million. Then 15,000 times 1440. It is 21,600,000. Huyo mwingine ni overheads. Overheads. And this is 50% of labor costs. 50% of labor costs. 50% of labor costs. So times 0.5, this is 10,800,000. And this is 12 million. 12 million. So that will afford us something called total costs. Something called total costs. So these total costs should be 25 plus 24 plus 12 is 61 million. Then 25 plus 21.6 plus 10, 800 is 57 million 400,000. Then profits. Itapatikana namna gani? It will be 25% of costs. We are saying total costs. 25% of the total costs. So this is 14,350,000. Therefore, selling price, if I add 57,400, I will charge 71,750,000. Then 61 is 15,250,000. Plus 61, this is 76,250,000. And that is the answer to what the examiner wanted. So we call it a lesson at that point and meet in the next lesson. That now should be on Saturday because I'm told Friday will be a holiday. Thank you so much.